These are definitely smaller. Unfortunately, I can't show you side-by-side comparison of the 2 versus the 5, but I can tell you that the 5 is definitely a bigger unit than this one. So this is probably going to be nice for in our particular application because we're just kind of heating a much smaller space. We're only heating about maybe 1/4 of the bus, maybe. Yeah, about 1/4. Just a back bedroom and our bathroom. But if it produces as much heat as I think it's going to, I think it's going to be more than fine. I can tell you that this is how you take them apart, but I'm not going to take it apart on screen. But if you look inside, there's a heating, the fan, okay? And I can tell you by just spinning it like I'm spinning it right now, that the bearing in this heater is by far much better than the ones that I've installed so far. The other ones, when you would spin it, because I would take them apart to make sure everything inside was, okay, you can tell that it had a chintzier, kind of a cheap feel to it. This absolutely does not. It's fantastic. You know what? Actually, I will take it apart real quick. It's very quick to do. So you simply just unscrew this. What I like about this is you have clips on the side, and you just literally unclip it, and you lift it right up, and there you go. There's the interior of this heater. It's like I said, it's a smaller unit, but I can tell like the gasket that's separate. This is how you would open it to clean them. But definitely recommend somebody who knows what they're doing to do that because you don't want to damage anything. This is your hot point. Your temperature sensor wires are right here, and this is your control module. And I can tell you by just simply doing this, it's so much better. Definitely. What I love, and I'm gonna give kudos again to Craig. What I'm gonna tell you is this right here is phenomenal. I have not seen an enclosed capsule for your electronics on any of the ones I've done so far. They've all been wide open, all the electronics exposed. You're getting all that dirt and grime and everything that's being sucked into your heater. And over time, of course, that's going to do some damage to your heater. So I find that fantastic. I really do. And basically the way these work, folks, is your fresh air and your exhaust come in and out of your heating exchange unit on the bottom here. This is where your fuel line goes. This is where your intake is, and this is where your exhaust is. Okay. And what happens is the air comes in. It's mixed in with the diesel fuel that's coming in. It's ignited and burned in here, and the exhaust comes out here. Okay. As this fan is spinning, it's sucking the air in, which is cold air or cooler air, and it goes across all of these fins, and it's blown out the front. And it blows out really hot. So, surprisingly, you would think with this being a plastic shell, which I can tell you is probably a little bit better quality than some of the other ones, it really doesn't matter because the plastic doesn't get that hot, which is surprising because this thing is hot, obviously, right? So you don't have any worries about it melting or anything like that. This is, like I said, we've installed 4 units. This will be our 5th unit that we've installed, but this is going to be our 2nd unit in our bus. But we've got the one we have in the front of our bus, the one that we just replaced actually is a metal outside. But to be honest with you, it really doesn't matter. I think it's really kind of a gimmick thing anyway. What's the most important thing to me is what's the quality of this bearing. And I can tell that it's just much better. And is the electronics all enclosed like this? And so far, I haven't seen any other heaters that I've looked at that has that. So I find that fantastic. So kudos to Craig and his team on building a really good quality heater. So that's it for that. Let me just close it up real quick. And while I'm closing it up, I'll talk to you about all of the pros to this again. Again, it's a better built heater. It has much better components to it. I like the quality. Here, I'm going to give this back to you, Reagan. You can put that back in the box for me. I like the quality of the parts that they give you. Again, the highlight to me was, again, the fuel line was actual fuel line, which I love. The filter, phenomenal. I mean, that is just fantastic. So I love that. The muffler, I cannot wait to hear how that sounds. I'll do a second video after we've done the installation of it, to let you hear, or maybe not hear. I don't know, because this is a muffler we've never seen that before. I mean, we've seen this design. They all look like this, but not stuff like that. So that's gonna be cool.
Not really.
What?
Not really, because like.
And then this is fantastic. Great quality. I love that. Let's see. All the hardware, plus we already talked about that. Oh yeah.
Hardware is way better.
All of the clamps,
way better.
Heavy duty, which is great. These clamps, which we're not sure, we'll have to figure out what these are for. I have a suspicion that they may go for this, but I don't know. I'll have to read the directions and find out, and we'll talk about that in the other video too. So that's great. Let's see. Oh yeah, clamps. This clamp, I'm not sure. This clamp, this clamp I know is for the fresh air intake. I know that. So yeah, it goes around the hose and it goes in there and it clips on there. So I know that. That I do know. All right. Let's talk price. This is where the money meets the road, as the saying goes. So you're gonna find these heaters on Amazon, on Alibaba. You're gonna find them on Wish.com. You might find them in a couple of different spots. My first heater I bought was through Wish.com. I paid $160 for that heater. That was with the shipping, so I felt that was a pretty decent price. At the time, I wasn't an Amazon Prime member. Matter of fact, I didn't buy anything through Amazon at that particular time. The downside of the Wish.com was that I had to wait quite a few weeks to get the heater. And then when I got the heater, I ended up having to drive 5 hours to go get it because they delivered it to the wrong address. Luckily, my phone number happened to be somewhere on the packaging, and the person who got the package, whose name happened to be, first name happened to be as close as Eric, happened to call me and say, hey, I got this package for you. So I ended up, like I said, I had to drive 5 hours to get it. So that was a down thing on Wish. We had the heater. It worked great. We have no complaints about it. It is what it is, right? It's a $150 heater. Shipping was $160 something, right? It lasted us for almost a year, until we had a little issue or a little mishap that happened where one of our heating ducts had come out of the vent in the same cabinet where the heater is mounted. And unbeknownst to us, it was just cycling that hot air into that cabinet and was blowing it back and forth through it. And so what we feel happened in that particular case is we cooked the bearing, because what had started happening is all of a sudden we started getting this really horrific squealing noise. And so what we ended up doing was we put it all back together after we realized what was going on, and we put a little bit of oil in there to see if we could save it, and it did help it a little bit, but it never really went away. And eventually there was another thing that happened to it. We're not sure exactly what, but I have a feeling it was because of the fact that it got cooked. So I bought my second unit. This time I bought it through Amazon. And because I was an Amazon Prime member, I got shipping for free, so I bought this one for about the same amount of money. I think it was about $149, $150. This one came with the remote, and it has the metal case on it. And so yeah, it was seemingly better. We've never had an issue with it. We've had it for now, oh Lord, 6 months, I want to say. About 6 months we've had this particular unit. Runs great. We've had no issues with it, other than our own, stupidity. Basically, we run out of oil once or whatever. But other than that, it runs great. No issues with it at all. For $150. This heater is smaller. Now, again, those two heaters that we've installed before, previous, and the two heaters that we installed for some friends of ours are all 5K. Perfect for a bus that's open, like The friends of ours, their bus is an open concept. They don't have a lot of walls in their bus. So if you have a bus or a schoolie that you've converted and it's an open concept, in other words, you don't have a whole lot of walls in it, you can get away with probably one 5K heater. In our particular case, we've got a lot of walls, and so we can't get that heat all the way to the back of this area here. So that's why we're installing the second one. So this one's a 2K with shipping, and it was shipped from California. It came into port in Los Angeles, I believe it was, and we got it shipped to us in 4 days from the warehouse with shipping, because shipping is free actually. It cost me $221 with taxes and everything included, $221. And I'm going to tell you, it is a little bit more money, and it's a smaller unit, but I can tell you that without even getting it mounted yet, just the quality of the parts that we have, it's absolutely worth it. The heating of it, we'll find out here in a little bit. Hopefully today we can get it all installed and running. So if the heating component and the control module, everything works as good as it looks like it could, this is a phenomenal buy. It really is. It's worth the little bit extra money for it because it looks like it's a much better quality built unit. And that's what you want to look for when you're looking for this. Yes, you can buy them cheap. If anybody has followed me on Facebook, they know I've made comments in different forums about the reason why I buy these cheap heaters is because, well, they're cheap. Okay, if I wanted to buy a Wabasco or one of those higher end diesel heater units, I'm going to pay $1,200, $1,100, maybe $900 maybe, depending on where you go. But the problem is if it breaks down and you've got to replace it, you're going to have to spend another $800 to say $1,200 for that heater. Well, if this heater breaks, I'm only out $200. And usually most people have $200 that they can come up with a pretty hurry, in a pretty quick hurry to replace it. If you've got to replace a $1,000 unit, well, that might be a little bit tough on your pocketbook. So it's a throwaway unit. We all know that, right? Even this unit being a better quality unit, it's still a throwaway unit, right? It's only a $200 item, right? If it lasts me 2, 3, 4 years, well, I got my money is worth. I've got $200 that I spent, but I got 2, 3 years of heating out of it. Hopefully, maybe we get more. Who knows? We'll see what happens. We got a year out of our first one that we paid $160 with shipping, but we paid $160. $160 for a heater is not really that outrageous. As a matter of fact, you're going to go spend that kind of money on a decent sized propane heater. You might even spend more money for it. So the reason why we like the diesel heaters is because diesel is readily available. You can find it pretty much anywhere. And these, by the way, burn diesel or kerosene. So you can burn either or in these particular heaters. Okay. So that's readily available. Propane, not always available. Sometimes you can't find propane. Sometimes you might go to a place that has propane, but they don't have anybody certified to pump the tank for you. So you might be in a pickle where you need heat and you can't get it. So, but you can go find diesel, even if it's on-road diesel. Not that you want to buy on-road diesel, and not because it won't burn, but because you're going to pay the tax in the on-road diesel. You're better off to try to find kerosene or off-road diesel because you're not going to pay the road taxes that you will with the on-road diesel. But you can find diesel anywhere, including on-road diesel, that's readily available across the United States of America or across the world wherever you live. So the point being is, if you buy these little heaters, you're going to have heat no matter where you are, no matter where you go, and you'll be able to find diesel fuel anywhere you go. So that's about wrapped it up for us today. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I will answer them if I can. I'm not an expert by any sense of imagination, but now that we've installed, well, this will be our 5th one that we've been installing. And like I said earlier in the video, considering becoming a dealer of this particular brand. Again, I'm going to put it through its paces and see how it does, and I'll probably most likely do a second video after the installation and letting it run for a day or two just to kind of see how it's going to go, and then we'll talk about the operation aspect of it. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you the next time.